I probably receive 20 to 30, sometimes 40 individual emails a day. But it was certainly at the beginning of the summer when Alec emailed me, and it sat in my inbox for a couple of weeks, not because I didn't want to reply immediately, or I could reply immediately, but it touched me. He thought that after 30 years of not being able to come to Bradford City, now the time was right.
My enthusiasm for football had diminished somewhat because of the fire. I figured I couldn't drag myself to do it, you know. I saw my first professional football game when I was aged 10 years old, which my father took me to, and that was in the days of Mortensen and Matthews. And it was about 2 years afterwards when I started following Bradford City. I did become a supporter and been a supporter ever since. The ground now is totally different to what it was in my day. The dressing rooms used to be a terrace house, and they used to come down the steps and out onto the field. Totally nothing like it is now.
Footage I'd seen of the old stadium, a very wooden stadium.
This ground is strange in many ways itself because it's been built on a hill.
I think the first game you ever go to, you will either know if that's your team or not. And when I saw the green grass of Valley Parade, and more so a night match, when you see the vibrant colours and the smells of tobacco at the time, and almost exhaust fumes around the ground, and then beer mixed in with chatter and cigarette smokes and blokes coming in after work and families coming together, it just gets you.
Pies, bovril, you know, beef teas.
I never really took much interest in the pies, and I had a bad habit of always leaving 5 minutes before the end so that I wouldn't get caught in the rush.
There was a real spirit within the club, and of course you've got to add in as well, this is 1985. In 1983 the club went out of business, and the club was saved by a mixture of people with buckets and obviously businessmen at the time saving the club at the 11th hour.
It was a great season, obviously. We had a very good side, people who've become legends. Mark and I went to many away games, so it was something we did, father and the lad did, and we just had a great time.
It's been a long time, I think it was 1929 since actually City won a league trophy, and that was even 3rd Division North.
I can remember the celebration where the players ran right around the field, to the best of my memory. And everybody was really up for it, you know. It was a great day at the start of it, which turned out tragically.
I was there on the day, but I was stood on the opposite side that particular day.
Where I sat in the stand and where we had season tickets, we'd had the same seat for several years. And if ever it rained, I used to get a trickle of rain coming down from the roof. When I saw this bit of smoke, didn't think anything of it at first, because I thought it was probably a firework or something like that. I mean, we'd seen things like this before. And when I looked about probably half a minute afterwards, it seemed to be getting hold pretty rapidly. And at that particular stage, I didn't for 1 minute envisage that the fire would engulf the place and cause the havoc that it did. What I was frightened of was that with the water coming down for years, that the stand would collapse on me. So with that in mind, I just said to my son, tapped him on the shoulder, "Follow me now." Normally, I would have gone the way I came in, from the back, but thinking the stand might collapse, I went over the top onto the field. That was a split-second decision, and it's saved our lives, I'm quite sure of that.
It started in sort of left-hand corner as we looked towards the pitch. I was on the left, on the opposite, diagonally opposite. But I remember seeing a commotion and then smoke and flames.
And I can remember him climbing on the wall with me, and then just so many people doing it, he just disappeared.
And as has been famously mentioned, that the whole thing was alight within 4 minutes, and it was just carnage. It was just absolutely horrific.
4 minutes, I understand it. Was totally engulfed.
Standing on the opposite side, and you felt like you were forced to witness a disaster that we went to watch a football game, and there all of a sudden there's people just absolutely scrambling for their lives, and It was horrendous, and you could, even 60 yards away across the width of a pitch, the heat was tremendous, so you know, you can imagine what it was like actually scrambling out of this stand.
I didn't find my son for a good hour afterwards because of that many people thronging onto the field. And everybody was worried about everybody, I should imagine. Even Stuart McCall, the captain, was all over looking for his own parents who were in the stand. Certainly never realised for 1 minute that the people were actually dying there. I mean, we thought obviously they'd gotten through the back, but the gates were locked. So if they'd gone through at the back, couldn't get out and they couldn't get back.
They got to a stage where I can't remember how long we'd got into it, and I just went to the back of this little stand and I just looked at the back wall. I just couldn't face it any longer. And it just, you know, you never forget that. You never forget that. Gradually, as news came out that, you know, yeah, not everybody got out, it was just, well, I feel it now myself. It's just awful, awful. In the aftermath, and we got through the summer, and I think we got through the summer through being very positive about, there was a disaster fund. In total, they raised about £4 million that summer. A lot of money in 1985. But it was real something positive to focus on, rather than dwell on the 56 people that died and the 250 people that got injured. And then, you know, gradually our thoughts turned to playing football again.
I could never get the enthusiasm to go to watch the games at Odsal, where they played as a temporary home. I kept up to date with everything they did in the papers, you know, things like that, because once you're a supporter, you're a supporter forever. But I just didn't go to games. And my son carried on going. And he tried to talk me many times into going. When they got into the Premiership in year 2000, I was obviously highly delighted, like any supporter would be. But I never had the urge to start going again. But I did listen to the commentaries every week on radio and kept up to date in that respect.
That was like the zenith. After that, it all fell apart and we got relegated, and then because of having overspent, it just rippled on.
I think Bradford City, over the last 10 years or so, under the stewardship of the Rhodes family and latterly Mark Lone, have been trailblazers to some extent in the way they've priced watching football.
I think the 149 idea is fantastic, and I think more clubs will start to follow it. I had every intention of getting a season ticket, which I was going to give to Mark, because I haven't seen him now for some 4 years. We had a fallout. Because of his health issues, he just wanted to have nothing to do with either me or his mother, in actual fact. But since we contacted James Mason at Valley Parade, it's caused things to get a little bit better. Never got the urge to go again until Mark's book. And in the book he states that he hopes that his dad will now get the enthusiasm to start going again. And the way he said it and the way he'd written the book and everything, I thought, well, I've just got to do it. So I'm pretty hopeful that this will bring us back together again. I really hope so. That'd be really fantastic for me.
It's clearly going to be emotional for him. 30 years is a long time not to have watched a game, and you know, I can only respect his own decision as to why he's coming back, and Alex is the only person to answer those questions. I think what he will see though is a stadium that's completely changed, drastically changed on all four sides. But what hasn't changed is the walk up to the stadium. Valley Parade is still there, Manningham Lane is still there. We're still in this valley. It's not changed. The physical hinterland around the stadium has changed to some extent, but other physical features of the city haven't changed. The weather will be similar to some extent. So I think there'll be lots of painful but happy memories as well.
I remember the old-fashioned click of the turnstiles, yes. As every person, you got a click. That's how they counted how many went in, I suppose. There's always a tremendous atmosphere. Just going to your seat, always an atmosphere there. It's really very atmospheric and lovely. I'm really looking forward to going back. I mean, looking down over the field, fantastic, absolutely unbelievable. Mark and I used to jump up along with everybody else and shout and scream.
Fast forwarding to today, what we can offer him as a club is a club very much on the up, which we were certainly back in 1985. That camaraderie is still there. Where he'll be sat is going to be almost mimicking where he sat back in 1985. So in that respect, there'll be lots of similarities and lots of differences. And I just hope he really enjoys it and feels like it was the right decision to come back.
If Mark and I could go to a football match again and be sat together like we used to do, like we've done so many, many times, I would absolutely love it.
I mean, wouldn't it be a lovely ending to the story if they can watch football again? I know it's certainly mentioned in the book. I look forward to watching, football with my father again. Listen, if that happens, it'd be a lovely end to their story. So we wish them luck.